Chicago, Mary Ellis is the firm director for Inigo at Loyola University. Inigo is Chicago's first and only student-run communications agency. Mary is a senior right now at Loyola studying communications and media studies, so this is a twist in our standard format. But don't worry, because talking with Mary about how she runs this dynamic communications agency of 26 students was so amazing. Also, they're not your typical student agency. They're independent, and they've had clients such as United Airlines, Avianos, and the American Heart Association. This episode hones in on staying involved in the virtual world, the importance of client experience, and combining passion with side jobs, and we have to talk about breaking into the communications industry. We open up about the difficulties of finding jobs in the pandemic, and we game plan together. So a super helpful episode. For more info on Inigo and Mary, head over to our Instagram at Entering Ad and give us 5 stars while you're listening on Apple Podcasts. This is the Breaking and Entering podcast, and I am your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. Mary Ellis, welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast. How's your day going?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My day's going pretty well. It's a lovely day in Chicago, Illinois. Beautiful fall, autumnal day, so feeling pretty good.
Nice. So Chicago, we like to hear that. I'm also in the Chicagoland area. You are an interesting guest, right? A little bit different from the usual trend of people that I have on. We like to interview industry trailblazers, as we like to say in the description of the podcast, but you are not a trailblazer just yet in the industry, but however, you are a trailblazer of your college, Loyola University in Chicago. You are the firm director for the student-run advertising agency, Inigo. Am I correct on that pronunciation?
Yes, you're perfectly correct.
So we're going to break that down. You're the firm director of this awesome student agency, and a lot of student agencies are out there, right? Most colleges will have some sort of group that you can get involved with that gives you real client experience. That's going to be the underlying messages to join that group and do well in it. But we want to talk about you. So tell us about Inigo and tell us about your role as firm director.
All right, for sure. So we are Inigo, the student-run communications agency operating out of Loyola, Chicago. We're the first student-run agency in Chicago, which I think is pretty exciting. And what makes us unique is that from other student agencies, we're a class. So, we operate in the spring and the fall semesters, and we have a max of about 25 enrolled students in our class. So students take this for a grade. They're not only getting experience, but they also get a grade, which is kind of fun. We've been around since 2017. Actually, a student came to our current faculty advisor with an idea, like, I want to do a student-run communications agency. And from that, we were born. Our first, I think, semester of client work was fall 2017, and we've been growing ever since. And now, it's fall 2020. We're in a completely different world than it was 3 years ago. Yeah. We're operating online. Usually we are, in person, but now we have 6 clients, 24 full-time members and 3 apprentices, amazing, diverse range of majors in our team. All of, like, the up and coming communications professionals in Chicago are right here.
I love that. How many people are in the organization right now? Doesn't have to be exact, but
it's 20. I'm looking at our roster on our website right now. Actually, I have it open in the other window. I don't want to miss anyone.
Inigo.com, I'm assuming.
Inigo.com, and it's Inigo.com with like COMM.com.
Okay, we'll have the link in there in the description as well.
So it's 3.
That's so cool, though. I think it's important to note that you guys are taking it for a class grade, for credit, really. that makes it
Yeah.
probably a little bit more serious when people are participating, because sometimes when you have these extracurricular clubs, it gets cold out in the fall, especially in
Right.
Chicago.
Hmm.
Um, like when winter comes, like suddenly half your attendance might drop, but
Yeah.
not when it's for a class. So that's really helpful.
Yeah. I like that it's a class. I've taken this class. This is my third time in the class, and it's been very convenient for me because I'm taking it, first I was taking it for my communications elective credit and now just general credit so I can, graduate. Um, and it definitely helps, like, things have to be turned in on time, because if it's not turned in on time, your grade will get docked. So it certainly helps. Usually it's not an issue, but in case there ever is one, you're taking this for a grade. So it's
Right.
just another level of dedication.
And I'm sure you guys are recruiting the best of the best, and they're already motivated enough, but it's also
Hmm.
it's nice to have that little um push. So did you
Yeah.
happen to find the number? So it's around 20 to 30 people?
So we got, like, oh my gosh, sorry. I'm not a math person. And so two things at once is difficult. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 25, 26.
That's a good
And
amount.
then 26, and we have a TA and our faculty advisor. So
Is the TA so it's a grad student, or is it just somebody?
she's still an undergrad. She's a senior. She's been in Inigo several times. She just sort of works behind the scenes to help out our faculty advisor.
Gotcha. So cool. What are some of the clients that you've worked on while you were there, or it's still there?
Yeah. So I started on last year, like 1 year ago. And I worked on a client. I was the account coordinator, and I had my own client promotable. They were super cool. They do like classes in like data sciences to you know, make people feel more promotable, have more skills in their field. That was a year ago. And then some of the more recent clients that we've worked on that have been super exciting. United, our project for United, did sort of more of an internal campaign for them. We're working with a specific department, and we got to visit. A few of us got to visit O'Hare last March. Literally, like the week the world shut down and we went online, we went to O'Hare that Monday, which was just kind of wild. And we got to, walk around the airport, the United hub, talk to some of the employees. It was so cool. That was one of the most like awesome things to see where our work would
That's so
live.
cool. That,
Yeah, it
that
was just incredible.
that's a great client to have. Did students go out and reach out to them, or was it more that faculty advisor? How did you
Um,
gain that client?
yeah, for sure. So it's actually kind of a funny story. They reached out to a professor at Loyola, one of the ad professors, and they they were interested in someone maybe working on a project for them as like a capstone. The professor then referred them to us so we could have them on as a client. And my absolutely brilliant new business director, Ellie, she, wrote them a pitch email. They got to go to Willis Tower to like do a new business client meeting with them. It was incredible. Unfortunately, like I had class or something, so I couldn't go. It was such a bummer.
Right, right.
Um, but we did. So that's how we got that connection through an advertising professor.
Yep.
And then that was, last January, February. We signed him on like kind of late. Usually we like to have our client roster set, before the semester starts, but, things happen. We just roll with the punches.
Right, right.
And so we signed him on in February. And it was actually funny. We got like uh, my Ellie, she's absolutely like one of the most brilliant people I know. She's our new business director this semester and was the previous semester. She like sent an email to our contact over there with our like client commitment agreement. And a week went past and we were sort of confused, like um they haven't they like verbally agreed to be a client, but they haven't come back with a signed contract yet. And we were in the office. When there wasn't a pandemic, we do have our own office downtown in one of the office buildings that Loyola has. We're in the office, it was me and a couple other friends, and she's looking through her junk mail and sees the client commitment agreement. And we all just screamed. It was
Ah,
just
yes.
like,
The old
oh my
junk
gosh,
mail.
like we couldn't believe it. And oh my God, just the joy that I felt in that moment that, and I was account director then, and just that United was going to be one of the clients that I was going to be working with. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
impressive.
over the
It's,
moon.
and I think it's so cool that you guys are your own entity. I was
Mhm.
involved in the AAF. People I know, listeners are involved in the American Marketing Association, or all these different trade organizations that there are a lot of benefits to, right? Like you can go to these events, they have networking, they
Mhm.
have Hall of Fame awards, they do all these mentorship programs within it. But then you're also beholden to that entire organization. Having your own like little independent shop is like incredible, right? Like that experience is so
Yeah,
different where it's you guys are really in control. You guys are, don't you guys deal with budgets at some time, like
we
depending on the
do.
client?
Yeah. Yeah, our clients pay us. It's a modest fee. But we do, have budgets. Our new business director deals with that. And, we take care of the money coming in. And, it's really like we do have a faculty advisor, and she sort of, keeps us so we don't fall off the rails,
Sure.
but
Yep.
it's really like at the end of the day, it's up to us and, our decisions, which is really cool. It's so, every day I'm sort of humbled and so grateful to be in a position where I am leading such an amazing, group and talented group of students, and we have that like independence.
Yeah. And
It's
it's a young agency, right? So a couple years
yeah,
old. Sometimes
hmm
with these student groups, they can be around for like decades or whatever. And there's just this old status quo that doesn't seem that effective. So this young agency, tell me about the structure. You said you had like
yeah,
26 people. Is it split up by like creative strategist account, or is it specific teams based on clients? Or tell me, I love
yeah,
this stuff. I love hearing about it.
for sure. So actually, we started off. Another great thing about our agency, like we change, like we grow, we evolve, we find
Mhm.
out what works and what doesn't, and we shift to adapt to that. And every change that we've made has come from the students. So originally we had client-based teams, and that's when we were a little smaller, and we would have several folks dedicated on a team, or like 3 or 4 people on a team dedicated to one client, and then sort of like an internal team for our own selves.
Gotcha.
About a year ago, one of our previous firm directors, she is absolutely brilliant. Her name is Emily. She thought, why don't we split up into skill based teams? So, and that's sort of the model we're operating now. So we have 4 teams: creative, who deals with all sort of graphics, creative work, visual stuff. Our PR and media team, they, what it sounds like, handle all the PR. They also have been sort of morphed into like the copywriting team. They do a lot of all of the words come from PR and media.
That makes sense.
Um, and then we have our account team, which is where I came through Inigo. I have my background is an account. Each member of the account team has their own client, and they manage that client relationship. Then the account director sort of oversees all that. They also write the proposal at the beginning of the semester, which is sort of lays out all of the deliverables we would like to do for the client, which is also just a really great thing to say you've written. Um, and then we
Yeah.
also have our corporate comms team, which sort of treats Inigo as their client, and they handle recruitment, our internal social media, so all of the stuff for us. And then at the top, there's me. At the top, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
it's very egalitarian. I'm not more important than anyone else. At sort
No,
of the
yeah.
outer ring of the circle is myself and our faculty advisor, just sort of overseeing the function and
Yeah.
taking care of things as they go.
Smooth. It's a very smooth organization. It seems like it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one client at a time? Are there multiple clients? How do you foster creative interaction and collaboration between those different groups?
Yeah, so right now we have 6 clients, and we have 6 account coordinators. Each account, or no, excuse me, we have 5 account coordinators. One of the clients, our AHA project is sort of a smaller thing. That
What is that?
American Heart Association, excuse me, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Yep. Yep.
Um, and so the way our process works is we have at the beginning of the semester, the account coordinator will meet with the client, introduce themselves, talk to them, understand what they want. We'll have the client come to after that or before that, sort of depends on timing. We'll have the client come talk to our whole agency, which is really awesome to get everyone sort of introduced to the client, hear directly from them, what they're interested in. And it's just a really cool thing to be on inside client meetings, I think it's really cool. After that, we have the account coordinator will write sort of the proposal document, which is a document that has some research about the client, their industry, a SWOT analysis, and then also our strategy and tactics for the deliverables we want to present to them. And we present the proposal to the client. They come back with any edits, blah, blah, blah. Once that's finalized, the account coordinator then creates creative requests. We call them creative service requests. Sure. And they then send those out to the agency. The PR team, depending on the deliverable, PR team will work on any sort of copy, media sort of things first, pass it over to creative, who will then handle any sort of visual component. That's usually how it works for us. And then send it off to the client.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm very passionate about these student groups. Mm-hmm. I think I want to do like a whole season on different mm-hmm. ones across the country. So a little teaser for that. And I want to eventually go like travel around and like see all these groups live action.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But wow, so cool. So you're the firm director. So you're the top. You make sure everything's running smoothly. You understand all the processes, and mm-hmm. you probably work a lot with the faculty advisor on a lot more topical or more overarching strategy kind of stuff. Maybe regrouping or analyzing the structure and organization, like the COO, I guess.
Definitely. We meet every week for about an hour and a half. I am in almost constant contact with her. We talk a lot about, sort of our overarching goals for Inigo as an agency, our goals for the semester, and then also just like, things as they come up.
You steer the ship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then, okay. So that you obviously were qualified. There's probably a interview process, I'm assuming, application interview and you got it. We don't have to go too much into that because I think people pretty much get how that works. And after understanding your agency, it was probably a pretty strict process where a lot of people want to do it. So congrats to you. Now I want to get into I don't know, there's a lot of things I can uncover here. I want to talk about now, what have you, like some of the lessons that you've learned being in Inigo and being the firm director and seeing new talent come in and old talent leave. It's just a great experience. So what are some like tips that you have for students out there about like if they're involved in a student agency or if they're involved in some sort of client experience? Like, how do you do well? Like, how do you make the clients not mad at you?
Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh, let me think. I think the biggest thing is, and this is something I continually struggle with, is understanding that you are meant to be where you are. I love to tell my agency, you are meant to be here. You guys are so capable and talented. It's very hard for my own self to take that advice. So I think just internalize for students who are, in sort of any sort of agency, club, communications, whatever, just understanding you're meant to be where you're meant to be. And, you're, I think, way more hard on yourself than, that's necessary. I certainly am. Regarding like client work, I think, all of our clients sign on to us knowing that we are a student agency, that we are students. But, just going the extra mile, being extra professional, delivering that little bit extra, I think really sets you apart as like a student agency, like just being that little extra oomph of professional. We've gotten some feedback from some of our clients that we have been just as good as any sort of, regular marketing
Sure.
comms firm or whatever that they have employed.
How many hours a week are you guys putting in?
So
Not you
since
don't count because you're
I
probably
mean, for
doing way
me,
more.
it's like 10 to 12. It's a lot. But for the
Okay.
regular coordinator, we do require 7.5 hours a week.
Nice.
And that is part of our class grade. We do have meetings twice a week. We have our class, which is 2.5 hours on Thursday evenings. And then
Yes.
we do have our team, like we have a team meeting on Tuesday evenings for about an hour.
I love it.
So that does count towards your hours per, that you have to
I
achieve
want to
each week.
join. Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we like to keep track of it. We have time cards. We
Yeah.
like, we see, like, I can see what everyone is putting in each week. Like, I
You
can see
can't
what they're
hide.
working on.
Right. Show
So
up.
they
Yeah,
can see
you
what
have
I'm
no
working
choice.
on too. Like, I
Mhm.
spend, and like editing emails or whatever, like approving deliverables, like doing admin stuff, they can see there's like transparency. They can see what I'm working on. I
Good.
can see what they're working on. It sort of holds everyone accountable that we're all doing what we need to do.
Nice. So to all your organizations that are listening, all the members listening now,
Mhm.
I think it's what you guys are doing is amazing. And that work and that experience, especially now that you're switching to
Mhm.
virtual, that's only gonna help you more when it comes to that job search.
Mhm.
So I want to get into now that you have like this impressive resume with just the firm that we just talked about.
Mhm.
Just real quick, you want to talk about like any other jobs that you've had? Because I want to get into some job search stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So most of my experience is in ego, to be honest. I've
Yep, that's
like,
fine.
and I had interviews for internships before the pandemic. A lot of them just said, nope, or
Yeah,
canceling. And so this past summer, I think another lesson for folks listening, like if you didn't have the perfect internship last summer, there was a pandemic. It's okay. Like,
right,
I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves to um, be doing all this insane stuff all the time, but the world we're living in is insane. Give yourself a
right,
break. Just a piece of advice for everyone.
right.
So last summer, before I started at Inigo, I was a marketing and communications intern at a theater company in Chicago called Timeline Theater Company. And that was really cool. I'm very passionate about the arts. I love theater, music.
Have you been in
You
any
know,
productions?
um, in high school, I was a thespian, yes.
What
Not,
was your favorite show?
oh gosh, I was Frenchie in Greece my
It's a
sophomore
good one.
year, which was so fun. And then probably one of the most like memorable shows I did in high school was A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh
And I was
yeah,
Hermia, and it was just so fun because the director, he did it like 60s themed, so
sure.
very
They
psychedelic.
always do a
It was
weird theme
so
on that
fun.
show.
Oh yeah, like we can't just be like, I think
Yeah,
most traditional ones are like what, ancient, like it's like Greece or Roman or something, I can't remember.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um yeah, so I have a background in the arts. I was in marching band in high school, I was in choir, I took voice lessons for years. I'm very passionate about the arts. That's why I, work at the box office
Yeah.
in
There you
college.
go.
There we go.
And that
I
makes
didn't do,
sense.
yeah. It's definitely given me a way to be connected to like the arts community at Loyola and in Chicago. But,
Oh yeah.
it's still a job. And I'm like, honing my communication skills while doing it. I'm
Yeah.
one of the things we do is like house manage events. So I have a team of like 10 people and we're, have to make sure the show starts on time,
Right.
handle all the patrons. And while it's not, like I'm not like writing copy for social media, it's not like that, but the skills that I've learned, working in customer service have, helped me so much just in like every aspect of my life.
Oh,
Don't,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It doesn't really matter a lot of people interning nowadays is writing Instagram captions or
Hmm.
figuring out how to use TikTok, which is
Right.
great. Like if that's what you have, then do it super well, be the
Hmm.
best
For
at it
sure.
and try your best at it. But if you can find like a cool off job like that's not directly in social media management, which I'm going to
Hmm.
call out. That is so cool. And it also kind of ties into this cool narrative that you have, right? That you were in theater,
Hmm.
that you are passionate about the arts. So you found a job in the arts, and then you were able to develop skills that help advertising
Hmm.
and in your career in marketing communications, project management, and then all tying along that you're more passionate about it, and now you're more culturally aware through all the shows that you've seen and been
Yeah.
involved. So
Um,
it's like a trifecta. I mean,
yeah.
it's that's a perfect way to talk about in interviews. I'm sure you have about your passions and how they all kind of connect
Hmm.
and intermix. So it doesn't have to be your social media marketing
Right.
intern at whatever job, but those are great too. I mean, but you also have to tie it in to your
Yeah.
life and stuff like that.
Um, yeah. And so through my job at the box office, I my boss had a connection at Timeline, and I was marketing and communications intern there, which was so cool. They're an incredible theater company in Chicago doing really like great stuff. But through that, I learned like maybe arts nonprofit communication isn't for me. Like I
Sure.
love it, but it's not, I don't think it's where I want my career to go necessarily. And I think
Right.
that's the great thing about internships. You can learn what you like and you don't like. I learned a ton, like, and it was fun. Like I had a great time. Um,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
realized that, this isn't like in-house, like, don't know if that's necessarily my dream. Obviously, I'm not picky. I'll take any job, but
Right. 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 But you absolutely,
yeah,
like you said, it tells you what you like and what you don't like. So
right.
you have a clear end goal in mind, which is
Hmm.
nice for your first job, which is your
Yeah,
first job, not your last job.
right.
We can do a whole speech and talk about that. But so great experience. I'm curious now from a student's perspective. Um, I mainly interview like old people
Hmm.
or people that have like cool jobs and at great agencies, but
Yeah,
this is kind of a switch up. And it could be super helpful to the listeners out there to hear about how you're attacking the job search, to light a fire under them and to motivate them and to figure out some of the strategies that you might have. So what are
yeah.
you, it's early now. I know it's October, but what do you have planned? Have you started? What's your situation now? I know you're super busy, but let's hear it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm graduating in December, so it's really not that early for me.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, I decided I talked to, like, randomly was talking to my advisor one time, and they're like, "Oh, well, you have the credits to graduate a semester early," and I was like, "Oh, okay, sure,
But
I'll
why?
do that."
Why do you want to do that? I feel like
Well, okay. I first of all didn't want to pay another semester of tuition,
that's the number one
to be
thing. Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Um, And I thought, okay, well, I can get a head start on applying for jobs while my peers are still, finishing up their
Schooling. Yeah.
undergrad. And also just gives me sort of a buffer to, if I don't find something right away, like I have several months that I can be working to find a job. And also deciding, if I want to go to grad school, that's another thing I'm considering.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but well, when I initially decided to graduate a semester early, there was not a pandemic. I think if I had a crystal ball and knew that this was going to happen, I don't know if I necessarily would have, but whatever.
No,
Um,
no. It's not the word. It's not a bad idea. I think you can take every situation thrown at
yeah,
you and make it into something positive, right?
right.
So as
I mean,
long
I
as you
don't have
have
to do
that
another
strategy.
semester of I don't have to do another semester of Zoom University, so
Right.
I'm quite happy about that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but for now, like what I've been doing, just honestly, like I have applied for several jobs all over. I'm not married to staying in Chicago. A lot of stuff is remote right now anyway.
Right.
Even though I love Chicago, it's like my favorite city. I've been applying to a lot of, assistant account executive agency jobs. I'm,
Hmm.
you know, stalking like, Edelman and Goldman's like career websites if they're going to post their like, graduate internships. That would be the dream. Like that would be, I think, doing one of those graduate rotational internships, I think would be
Hmm.
perfect. I would love that. If anyone's
Oh,
listening,
Edelman
please.
listeners,
Edelman listeners.
yeah, Golden
Um,
listeners.
yeah,
Are you looking, you're more communications, I'm assuming, with your background as a communications
yeah.
major.
Um,
So PR, you mentioned a lot. Is that what you're kind of thinking, or you don't, I mean,
Honestly, well, okay, this is a secret. I
okay.
know I am the firm director of the communications agency and we do a lot of PR and advertising stuff. I've not taken a PR or ad class. All my classes have been communications, like theory and stuff,
Yeah.
rhetoric,
Yeah.
which I my goal with that was, I wanted to broad. I have a lot of interests. Like I like considered majoring in political science, history, international studies.
That helps even more, I think.
Yeah, like I have a very broad, like there's a lot of stuff I would love to do. Um,
Mhm.
so all my classes have been in comms. I'm open to so much stuff. I think what I have found that I like the most and I'm really passionate about is account management. Like working with clients, like that has been something that I didn't really even know existed before Inigo, to be honest.
Yeah.
Before I joined Inigo, I, was very lost. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my degree. I was like, oh gosh, like I'm gonna be unemployed forever. I can't wait to go. I'm gonna live. Nothing is wrong with living at home, but I was worried that I was gonna be you know, I was gonna be like at home forever. I was never gonna do anything.
No, yeah.
Which is fine. Like, everyone's path is different, and I
Yeah.
realize that now. And so I found that account management, client relationships is I think really where what I'm best at.
Yeah.
But also I'm open and I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm interested in corporate comms too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where
And
I'm
yeah, I
at.
mean, it's good that you have a pretty strong understanding of what you want to go into, and that
Hmm.
helps narrow down some of the jobs that you don't need to apply to, like those graphic
Yeah.
designer roles, or
Yeah, I
yeah.
would be miserable at
And
that. I don't
that's
really have an
basically
artistic bone in my body.
me too. But that's like why we go to school, right? That's why we get
Hmm.
involved in all these different organizations and we figure out what we're good at and what we like. And you have to have an
Right.
idea of it when you graduate. You do have to have an idea of it. You can't not know
Right.
what sort of route you want to go. You don't have to know
Yeah.
specifically the perfect job for you when you graduate, but you have to have some sort of inkling of what you want to
Yeah.
try out. And then you can bounce from there and try out different things and whatever. But you need to know. So you have a really good path going. What are like, so you're like on LinkedIn searching around, like applying for jobs, or what's like
Hmm.
that strategy?
Yeah, like I have a very poor strategy, I'll be honest.
Which is
I,
fine.
I yeah, it's fine. Like
It's
uh
early.
it's early. I'm doing my best. Yeah, LinkedIn is really what I do. I get like alerts. I scour through like company pages and stuff. One thing that I wish I was better at, and um, I know how to do it, but I am an introvert. I am shy. And so the idea of networking is very, oh gosh, it's very scary to me. Like
Yeah.
I can turn on when I need to be sort of outgoing, and it's usually around clients and stuff. But my
Or on a
normal
podcast.
person, or on a podcast, yeah,
Yeah.
or when I'm, I feel I've talked to you before. It's not like you're a complete stranger.
Right.
Um, but I am something that I have to work at is I'm very introverted, and so networking is very scary to me, and that is a hump that I'm still working to you know
Yeah.
go over. I don't know.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
yeah.
I think I've never really had that issue of that, but I know a lot of people that do, and I know Natalie Kim of We Are Next is kind of doesn't brand herself, but she kind of stamps herself really as kind of like an introvert as well.
Hmm.
So she has a lot of great resources too. But I mean, people, especially, I think you probably learned a lot now with the pandemic, is that people are willing to talk to you.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
just once you, and I think, especially now where if you kind of are introverted or you're intimidated or whatever the process may be, or that's blocking you, is that if you start today or you start whenever you have time, obviously you're busy, and you reach out to somebody of alumni of your school that works at the agency that you want to work at, not even a job posting is out. If you just shoot them like, hey, I would love to get on the phone with you and talk about you and your role. And then you start, just you follow up every couple of weeks or every semester, whatever. And then by the time a job opens up, they'll think about you, and you don't have to make those and then it's more about quality rather than quantity of networks, right? Of networking. Then you only have like 4 people that have jobs that you really want to talk to in mind. And then you have really strong, relationships with them. But I give this advice all the time. I don't really even follow it. I can't help myself when a LinkedIn notification pops up for a job I saved. I'm like, okay, easy apply, boom, sent. And then I reach out after. But it truly would help if if we all just kind of like allotted one day a week, maybe like a Tuesday, and just all right, I'm going to reach out to 2 people.
Yeah, that's smart. A great thing about Inigo is we have really great relationships with some of the agencies in Chicago. Like we have mentors from Golan that attend our meetings, and we, when there's not a pandemic, we'll go and visit their office, which is so awesome.
Yes.
And same with Edelman, we have some strong connections with them, which is so cool. It's another really amazing perk. And our alumni have gone on to do incredible things, which is, I think,
huge.
super lucky.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Keeping in touch with those alumni. That's why you probably had mentors in it, and you're probably a mentor to somebody now listening, hopefully. Those connections and those alumni networks. Is there any job search questions that you might have for me, actually?
Let me think.
Or anything really about I haven't really started my job, but I'm just curious. I usually ask the questions on any advice, but it's from a different angle here.
Let me think. Where do you find success? When you're applying for jobs, do you get the most, I don't know, emails, interviews from what's your strategy?
That's a great question. Edelman was in person. Their immersion program, which I highly recommend. I'm not sure what the situation is right now. It's a little shaky. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about it. But whatever. That was back when it was in person. They came to University of Illinois to recruit, and nobody's ever asked me my break-in story, but I won't go into it all. But I kind of shimmied my way into an interview that I didn't really have, and then it kind of just worked out from there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even underestimate the power. My strategy of networking, because I have to network every call that I make on this podcast.
Right. Yeah. You got this going for you.
Yeah. And I think with the podcast, I just DM people.
Yeah.
I don't do the professional email anymore. My first 10, 15 episodes, I had and I didn't even save it. I just wrote this long script, and I changed it every time and checked for grammar and just sent it. It was terrible. Now
that sounds like a lot of work.
It's so much work, cover letters and all that, but you have to do it.
I hate cover letters.
Right. You have to do it. I've made the mistake of sending out the wrong name cover letter because I copy and pasted it. We've all done it. You haven't, but I have.
Oh yeah, I definitely have.
But no, I wouldn't underestimate the power of social media and that the fact that you can DM people you can @ somebody on Twitter. You can you can do. There's nothing off the table with especially if you're in the creative industry. But I don't really do those long emails anymore because nobody or long LinkedIn messages. Those
people just don't have time for that,
Yeah, and you can follow up. You could definitely follow up, but if you get an Instagram DM, that you're gonna check that. And I do that, and it works for the podcast. So I don't know how it works with job finding because I haven't done it, but I would imagine that probably wouldn't be the worst way to get somebody's attention.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then, cool. So you've given a lot of great advice. Is there anything else you want to give a shout out to from Loyola or your agency, or any resources that you want to plug that you follow as a student that can help other students out there in the world?
Let me think. I would say, like, oh gosh, definitely follow us, Inigo Communications on social.
Mhm.
We post some cool blogs from our students. I think I'm trying to think of like what has been helpful for me is like,
Mhm.
a young professional. I think also one thing, I think a piece of advice, and this is something we had some alumni come and talk to us, talk to our agency a couple weeks ago. And one of our alum said something along the lines of like, LinkedIn is like every other social media, like people are just posting their highlights. So understanding that, like, it's easy to go on LinkedIn and see like, oh my gosh, every single person I went to high school with, every single person I went to college with now is this incredible job. Like, what am I doing wrong? LinkedIn is highlights just like every other social media, and taking, everything you see with a grain of salt, and just understanding that, you are where you're meant to be. And like everyone's path and journey is different, and that's okay. Um, I don't know if that's, the answer to your
Absolutely.
question.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything that, like, any resources that you follow or people in your organization follow? Like, we know Ad Age, Ad Week. Um,
Hmm.
is there anything you find yourself kind of like checking out, like when your free time, that might help you in the industry?
Let me see. So actually, my dad, the reason why I wanted to go into comms, in the first place is my dad's in the industry, and like, I saw what he did, and he does like internal communications for a tech company. And I saw what he did, and I was like, huh, like that looks kind of cool. So he actually signed me up for like the Reagan communications newsletter, like, gosh, like my freshman year of college. And I've been getting it ever since. And it's interesting to like see what's going on in the world of communications. And I still get them. You know, those are, useful.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
we can definitely link that. What's it called? The Reagan?
It's a Reagan, Ragan, communications. And my dad signed me up for this like years
Nice.
ago, and I still get them. I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh, I'm like drawing a blank.
Yeah. It's hard to come up on the spot, but that's fine. If there's anything else, here's what we'll do. I will reach out to you, and we'll get those links, the
Yeah,
additional
for
links
sure.
in the description on the Instagram and the link tree that
Definitely.
we have. But I wanted to thank you so much for coming on. I think you have a bright future ahead of you. I mean, there's no doubt that you'll be just
Oh my
fine.
gosh.
Uh,
Thank you.
with being the firm
You're
director,
too
I think
kind.
what you guys have going on at Loyola is so cool. And it's definitely giving me ideas that I kind of want to do this more, because I get
Yeah.
tired of talking to people that are way smart, like super smart, like
Yeah.
25 years in the industry. It's
Yeah.
like I can't connect with them.
Right. I think
But
like student agencies right now are, I think, so cool. And like all across the country, people like students are doing incredible work. And, I love hearing about it from other student agencies. Like, it is so cool. Like, to think of young people like our peers doing such amazing stuff, I think is just awesome. And thank you for
yes,
having me. This has been really
of
fun.
course.
I love talking about Amigo.
Awesome. And then I'll put your LinkedIn profile if people want to connect with you. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Feel free. Yeah, I am like, my own self plug. I am looking for jobs.
Yep.
So,
Go ahead. Do
um,
it.
yeah, I'm, very eager, very motivated,
Yep.
quick
I'll
learner.
put that in the intro, actually. So that'll be the first thing employers hear. Don't worry.
Okay, great. Thank
Cool.
you.
Well, then you are all good. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun. Thank you, Gino.
Yep. Thank you all for listening to this entire episode of the Breaking and Entering podcast. This was Mary Ellis, recruiters, employers out there. Mary is going to rock the industry very soon, so keep an eye out for her. Got to our shout outs. Thank you to Mikey Malarkey, our audio technician, Buchan Zhang, our creative director, Audrey Nussbaum, co host, Kyle Moore, strategist, And to our Midnight Oil team from the University of Illinois, we thank you very much. Can't do without any of you guys. We will see you all next week with another great guest. Rock on.